You are looking at a plant that can fuel every engine you own. Diesel truck, gasoline car, generator, tractor, lawnmower, every single one. The Amish in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, are growing it right now, legally, in the same fields their ancestors planted 300 years ago. This plant does not produce one fuel. It produces two fuels, one for diesel engines and one for gasoline engines. No modifications to the vehicle, no special parts, no trip to a mechanic. In 2010, the University of Connecticut proved something with a single number that the oil industry wishes you had never seen. 97%. When you understand what that number means, you will know exactly why this plant was made illegal in 1937. The Amish who never forgot. East Hempfield Township, outside Lancaster. The name on the road sign is not a coincidence. It is a memory of what this land used to grow before 4 powerful men decided it had to stop. Drive out to meet an Amish farmer in this county, and you will find something that should not exist according to everything the oil industry has spent a century telling you. A glass jar on a barn shelf filled with something that looks like cooking oil, a small diesel tractor, an engine that turns over on the first try with no hesitation, no cough, no black smoke. Ask where the fuel came from, and the answer is a pointed finger toward the field behind the barn. It was grown there. The plant is hemp, industrial hemp, cannabis sativa, and the confusion between hemp and marijuana was manufactured on purpose. Industrial hemp contains less than 0.3% of 1% THC. You could consume an entire bale of it and feel nothing but a sore throat. The 2018 Farm Bill made it federally legal to grow, process, transport, and sell industrial hemp anywhere in the United States. As legal as corn. As legal as wheat. But for 80 years before that bill, hemp was treated the same as a narcotic. The reason had nothing to do with anyone getting high. It had everything to do with fuel, money, and 4 men who had more of both than anyone else in America. One plant, 2 Fuels hemp seeds, contain roughly 30 to 35% oil by weight. That oil can be extracted with a simple cold press, the same kind used for olive oil. Once you have the oil, it converts into biodiesel through a basic chemical process. Mix it with methanol and a small amount of lye. The mixture separates into 2 layers, and the top layer is raw biodiesel ready to pour into any diesel engine ever manufactured. Not a modified engine, any diesel engine, because the diesel engine was never designed to run on petroleum in the first place. Rudolf Diesel built his engine in the 1890s and publicly envisioned a world where any farmer could grow fuel in his own field. In 1900, he demonstrated his engine at the World's Exposition in Paris running on peanut oil. It ran so quietly that most people watching had no idea it was burning a vegetable oil. Then, in September 1913, Diesel boarded a ship crossing the English Channel and vanished. His cabin was empty the next morning. His coat was found folded beneath the railing at the stern. 10 days later, a body was recovered from the North Sea. The newspapers printed 2 kinds of headlines. Some said suicide, others said murdered by agents of the oil trusts. His wife opened a bag he had given her before the voyage and found their bank accounts were virtually empty. We may never know what happened on that ship. But within a decade of his disappearance, every diesel engine in the world was burning petroleum. The engine designed to free farmers had become the machine that chained them to an oil company. The second fuel comes from what is left after the seeds are pressed. The stalk of a hemp plant is rich in cellulose. That cellulose breaks down into simple sugars. Those sugars ferment, and the fermentation produces ethanol, the same alcohol already blended into the gasoline you buy at the pump today. One plant, two fuels, two types of engines, zero waste. Henry Ford understood this before almost anyone. His Model T was designed to run on gasoline, ethanol, or any combination of both. By the 1930s, Ford was hosting conferences in Michigan about a movement called farm commergy. The idea that farmers should grow the raw materials for industry instead of importing everything from petroleum. In August 1941, he unveiled a prototype car with body panels made partly from hemp, lighter than fiberglass, and strong enough that an axe swung at the trunk lid bounced back without leaving a dent. The car was designed to run on hemp ethanol. 4 years earlier, the door had already been closed. In 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act was signed into law. Notice the spelling, marijuana spelled with an H. That was deliberate. The word was Mexican slang, and Harry Anslinger, the first commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, used it because most Americans had never heard it. If he had called it hemp, every farmer in the country would have recognized it. Behind Anslinger stood four men with financial reasons to want hemp gone. William Randolph Hearst owned newspaper chains and paper mills that hemp threatened directly. The DuPont family had just patented nylon and a new process for making paper from wood pulp, and hemp fiber competed with both. Andrew Mellon, the wealthiest man in America, had invested heavily in DuPont and was also Anslinger's father-in-law. And Standard Oil, the Rockefeller petroleum empire, had everything to lose if farmers could grow their own fuel. That same year, a blend called Agrol was selling at 2,000 service stations across the American Midwest. An ethanol gasoline blend made from crops, backed by the same commergy movement Ford had championed. It worked. Customers came back. Then the petroleum industry lobbied against every tax incentive that could have helped it compete. Between 1933 and 1939, petroleum interests killed 19 federal bills and 31 state bills supporting alcohol fuel blending. By 1939, the Agrol plant had closed. 2,000 stations vanished from the map in under 3 years. Same war, different weapons, same winners. What the Amish never forgot. The Amish settled Lancaster County in the early 1700s and began planting hemp around 1710. So much hemp was harvested that when Lancaster County was officially formed in 1729, an entire township was named Hempfield. When the 1937 Act killed hemp across America, the Amish lost a crop their families had grown for over 2 centuries. They adapted, as they always do, but the knowledge never disappeared. It lived in barn conversations and kitchen tables, passed from grandfather to grandson, while the rest of America forgot the plant existed. When the 2018 Farm Bill made hemp legal again, the Amish in Lancaster were ready before anyone else in the country. In February 1938, 5 months after the Marijuana Tax Act had already gone into effect, Popular Mechanics published an article with the headline, "New Billion-Dollar Crop." It described hemp as the standard fiber of the world and predicted it would create thousands of jobs and an entirely new agricultural economy. The editors did not know the law had already passed. By the time the article hit newsstands, it was illegal to grow the crop it celebrated. The future was announced at its own funeral. No one in the room knew it. Rudolph Diesel designed an engine for plant oil and disappeared from a ship. Henry Ford built a car from hemp and watched the law bury it. 2,000 stations sold plant-based fuel to Midwest drivers and were pushed into closure. And through 80 years of silence, the Amish kept growing. You were never supposed to know any of this. Not the 97%. Not the 2,000 stations. Not the magazine that arrived after the funeral. The Amish asked the right question 300 years ago, and they answered it with a seed. If this is the kind of knowledge that matters to you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below telling us what you would fuel first with 1 acre of hemp.